In October 2024, France's junior minister for trade, Sophie Primas, planned to confront China over what Paris deemed unacceptable retaliatory tariffs. Before we proceed, please like, comment, and subscribe to help us with the YouTube algorithm. These tariffs were China's response to the European Union's decision to impose duties on heavily subsidized Chinese electric vehicles entering the EU market. France, a strong advocate for these EU tariffs, viewed China's countermeasures targeting French exports like brandy, dairy, and pork as politically motivated. Primas intended to address these concerns directly with her Chinese counterpart Wang Wentao during her visit to Shanghai. The French government sought a negotiated solution to de-escalate the trade tensions between the EU and China. The duties imposed by China, reaching up to 35%, were anticipated to take effect by the end of October 2024. This trade dispute highlighted the broader challenges in EU-China relations, particularly concerning market access and fair competition. France's proactive stance underscored its commitment to protecting its economic interests and supporting EU trade policies. The situation exemplified the complexities of international trade relations in the context of increasing global economic interdependence. Both the EU and China faced pressures to balance domestic economic policies with international trade obligations. The outcome of these negotiations had potential implications for future EU-China trade dynamics. The dispute also raised concerns about the possibility of a broader trade war between the EU and China. European industries, particularly in France, were apprehensive about the impact of China's retaliatory measures on their exports. The EU's decision to impose tariffs on Chinese electric vehicles was driven by concerns over market distortions caused by subsidies. China's countermeasures were perceived as targeting key sectors of the French economy, such as the brandy industry. The French government emphasized the need for dialogue to resolve the trade tensions amicably. The situation called for coordinated efforts within the EU to address the challenges posed by China's trade policies. France's engagement with China aimed to protect its national economic interests while upholding EU trade regulations. The trade tensions underscored the importance of fair competition and adherence to international trade rules. The developments were closely monitored by other EU member states, concerned about potential spillover effects. The dispute highlighted the strategic importance of the EU's trade policy in managing relations with major global economies. France's diplomatic efforts were aimed at preventing further escalation of the trade conflict with China. The situation reflected broader geopolitical dynamics influencing international trade relations. The EU's stance on Chinese subsidies was part of a broader strategy to ensure a level playing field in global trade. China's retaliatory tariffs were seen as a challenge to the EU's trade enforcement mechanisms. The outcome of the negotiations had potential implications for future EU trade policy decisions. The trade tensions prompted discussions on the need for reform in international trade institutions. France's actions were indicative of its broader strategy to assert its influence within the EU on trade matters. The dispute underscored the challenges of balancing national interests with collective EU trade policies. The situation highlighted the need for effective communication channels between the EU and China to manage trade disputes. The developments were a reminder of the complexities involved in global trade negotiations and the importance of diplomacy in resolving conflicts.